It's way past time I dispense some indiscriminate justice!
G'day guys, Duckville here. We're into game 2 of BlueTea versus WetGoat. That name does say Puppy Tuppy, but if you're in here from game 1, you will know that this is actually WetGoat over here in the pink on, where are we? Metalopolis for the MLG version, of course, with these little supply depots that block the low ground of the ramp. And of course we did see in game 1 our Protoss hero in the purple, BlueTea doing a fantastic job of just really keeping up with the Zerg economy there. In fact, ahead most of the game in terms of harvesters, which is obviously fantastic to see when you are playing against a Zerg who is doing an attempt on the Spanishiwa build, which of course is a very much an eco-focused build for Zerg, and BlueTea took advantage of that, keeping high on the probes and then getting out a nice gateway with a low sort of Colossus count force, which then just ripped through the sort of very high Ling sort of count that WetGoat was attempting to go for. So we'll see what happens this game. We'll see if WetGoat is going to go for that style of build again, or perhaps try something a little bit trickier. I'm not actually sure what the plan will be, but we'll see in a moment here. Looks as if the drone has decided to go another way, but was originally, I think, going to be scouting across this close positions. But with this version of Metalopolis, whilst we also have this addition of the supply depot down at the bottom there to block any pylon or bunker shenanigans, we also have this particular version where you cannot spawn in close ground spots. Now, close ground spots, for those of you who aren't sure, is this sort of position here, where you just have to go across there and you can come up to your opponent. Now, of course, as a Zerg, that's a little bit of trouble if you do spawn it like that, because you can have to contend with things like a two gates, or perhaps even a proxy 2-gate, which is close, or obviously 2 racks style attacks from Terrans. Now, with the Overlord that came over here, WetGoat had spotted that it wasn't a Protoss base over here. There was nothing here, so there was have to be a base over here. But as you can see, standard opening at the moment for BlueTea, getting the cybernetic score in beautiful timing. Probably going to grab the assimilator in a moment, if we're going to stick with this standard sort of play from BlueTea, which she has been doing fantastically. And we'll see in a moment what the plan is, and hopefully, I'm hoping to see that BlueTea can keep ahead in the harvesters as well, just like last game, where BlueTea did a fantastic job, and a Overlord actually popping out just now. WetGoat got a little bit supply block there, I believe, but we'll see if anything is going to happen. There's not really too much here. A drone is perhaps attempting to get that hatchery down. I'm not actually sure if that's the plan. This could be a one-base style play for the moment from WetGoat. Queen has now popped out, putting down the lava inject into that hatchery. And yeah, not too much going on just for the moment. Whoa, hello, there's the Roach Warren. So this may be some sort of early Roach push at the current time from WetGoat. We'll see if he's going to actually push some Roaches across. You can see some interesting plays. Generally, you do actually want an Overlord around here to spot the high ground for Roaches, not the Mech Statue. We don't want to spot that, no one cares about that. But if you have an Overlord around this sort of position here, you can spot the high ground, put some Roaches along the low ground there, and then just take out the gateway, and you can be in a very fine shape as Zerg. And now, as we can see, 7 Roaches are on the way. This could be that 7 Roach rush, which is quite a common build. I have actually seen this a lot on this particular map. I'm not really sure if there's a reason why Zergs like to do this on this particular map, but I don't know, it seems to happen. So we'll see what WetGoat is going to do with those 7 Roaches. Of course, do keep in mind that the Roaches will take a long time to get across the map, and if spotted, which they may be, given that BlueTea actually has this middle watchtower here, we'll keep an eye on the vision of BlueTea and see if there are any particular reactions based on those Roaches coming in. 2 gates are now on the way from BlueTea. A couple of sentries are out, and it looks as if she's actually getting prepared to put down a Nexus. There it goes. So this could be a little bit interesting depending on how the defensive position of BlueTea is. And now those Roaches, as we can see from the vision there, just coming into town. They're waddling across. They obviously cannot see that the base is here, but they can assume that it is here. And they are now pushing up the ramp, and the Nexus has to be cancelled. A force field goes down. This should work nicely for BlueTea. You only need 3 sentries, 3 sort of clean sentries to make sure that you can force field a ramp indefinitely, a single width ramp like that. So obviously with the warp gates now done, there is certainly going to be enough of those, even now that we've got a Stalker even popping out here, trapping one of the roaches outside. This could work nicely for BlueTea, taking out that one, and then you're going to have to retreat, loses a Zealot in the process, but that isn't too bad, because obviously with that 100 minerals that it costs for that Zealot, it's not really too much to lose, given that you've effectively blocked a whole rush that was attempted here. So in response, WetGoat is going to head down here, take the natural expansion, and probably start heading into the economy and just try and get back into shape. As we can see on the economy tab, we do have our Protoss players actually sort of just in front on the gas there with the 200 roughly gas income, and now as you can see WetGoat is starting to get that second gas up and running along with an Evo chamber, so probably going to be prepared just in case there's any sorts of Void Rays or anything like that coming out of BlueTea. But as we can see, a Forge is now done. This is going to help with getting +1 to weapons out, but we still only see the 3 gates for the moment, so I don't think there's going to be any sort of, yeah, no, there it is, there is the expansion there. So this is going to be still moving into that very standard safe sort of play from BlueTea. And we'll see if she's going to actually just stick with that play for the moment here. A probe is going to come up to this Xel'Naga Watchtower and not have a good time, given that there is a Zergling here having a party under the lights of the tower. And the Zergling takes out that probe, so there's going to be no vision there for the moment across the map of in BlueTea's favour. As we can see here with those 2 towers, you can see across the 2 main attack paths that can be used on this particular map. And we'll see what the next plan is from BlueTea, because not really sure. We're sort of sticking with this very gateway heavy mix at the moment, getting the +1 weapons, which is almost done. It's around about almost 2/3 of the way done. I'm sort of bad with my fractions today, but just sort of sticking really tight with the gateway mix for the moment. A lot of Stalkers in there, perhaps predicting that there could be some more roaches on the way from WetGoat, and now we can certainly see that on the unit tab there we do have a total of 9 roaches. There are only 6 Zerglings out, of course, you don't really need too many of them, and we'll probably see +1 to Carapace on the way, perhaps with that second Evo chamber. Not sure just yet, there's certainly enough minerals for it at the moment, but perhaps we'll see what WetGoat is up to. And there it is, we do have, well, we've got the +1 to missile attacks on the way, but nothing else coming just yet, so not really sure what the plan is just here. We've got a 4th gate going down there from BlueTea. The +1 to weapons is now done. +1 to armor is now on the way. These Stalkers will obviously do a great deal of damage against the roaches if those roaches try to come in and do any harassment at all, but I don't think that's going to be the plan of attack for WetGoat at the moment. Now, BlueTea's probably going to switch, as we mentioned in the first game. Just switching into the Colossus tech is quite a safe way to play in Protoss versus Zerg here, putting down a 5th gate, which will also help. Probably want to chrono along that +1 to armor as well. If you can get that done, that'll really help out when those Zerglings get into a little bit of a higher number, which they inevitably do. And as we can see, more roaches are actually starting to pop out here. We actually have a great deal of roaches starting to come through here from WetGoat. He's actually got a total of 16 roaches at the moment, still pumping along a few drones, +1 to Carapace, and the roach speed is also on the way. So this is going to be a very heavy roach sort of army here from WetGoat. Flying through is a Phoenix. It's actually a fake Phoenix, but I don't think that there is going to be too much seen there. Obviously, there's no real tech coming along here from WetGoat at the moment. However, have a look down here. We have a 3rd base, and out of vision is this pylon. This pylon is going to allow the warp in of some extra units to take down this base if BlueTea decides to attack. We generally do see this sort of attack on a Zerg when they're going for that 3rd. If you can get in there and stop that 3rd from going down in ample time, you can actually be in a really good position as a Protoss. What that means is that you will be able to stop the Zerg from getting a good economy here at this 3rd base. Not to mention, whilst you're attacking, and we'll see if BlueTea is going to do this, whilst you're attacking, you can actually get your own 3rd base up and running, and we'll see if that's the plan. We do have a nice amount of sentries in here and some Stalkers warping in over at the 3rd. A little bit unexpected there for WetGoat. Some force fields going down. Trapping these roaches would be really nice, because there are certainly a nice amount of forces here from BlueTea to actually take that out, but there are certainly a lot of roaches now with their +1, and their movement speed upgrade is now done. That is actually a lot to contend with for BlueTea. So she's going to back up here with these forces. Very smart to back up. Going to keep these sentries alive as long as possible. Perhaps send another scout out in a moment. Have a look at this. Another pylon is ready to roll up here, and a probe is just hanging out here at this expansion. These two are not, these guys had an argument. They're not going to be talking for the moment, so they're just sort of standing apart, not looking at each other. And there goes this probe here to the 3rd base. So I'd suspect we're going to see the... we've actually got Immortals coming out here from BlueTea at the moment. That's really going to help against those roaches, of course. They do the bonus damage against roaches, 50 damage, I believe, if I remember correctly. It is. These roaches perhaps a little bit daring here, getting on the Protoss side of the map with some nice force fields. BlueTea could actually capture some of these and do a good job actually pulling out 4 of those there. I believe that was 4 roaches that were actually taken out there with that nice little force field capture there. It's like a catcher's glove in baseball or something, where you just put it out there, grab those roaches, and then they are out. But we do see on the production tab that Spire is on the way for WetGoat. He's got this one over here, this little tiny little thing here over at the natural expansion. A Nidus network is also on the way. Love Nidus worms. I hope we get to see some more Nidus worm action in this particular game. +2 ground carapace on the way, and +2 to missiles almost done. So WetGoat is going to be in a very nice position here with these roaches and perhaps some Mutalisks to bolster the forces that he's going to be using against BlueTea. Now over here at the top left side, we've got BlueTea setting up a cannon wall just to make sure that this base does not go down too quickly. Of course, a lot of players will sort of look at these cannons, and you can sort of take that that it will be good to defend. It's obviously not going to hold out this sort of roach force that that WetGoat actually has. What it does, though, is it provides a little bit of just a time that you can actually send your forces across. Of course, with all these stalkers, the Immortal, the Colossus, and some sentries over here, they get some time to run up here. This base will definitely be safe, and just at the cost of a couple of cannons, it's not really too much to ask. So it's a very great idea to put some cannons there, perhaps even putting some gateways in front of them if you had room. Chuck some gateways in front so that the Zerglings can't actually get to the cannons. That's also a good way to do it. But we'll see here that BlueTea has actually decided to move into the middle here, having a look at the vision on the map. Obviously has a decent amount of vision, given that there is a... oh, we've got that Nidus worm. There it is, pumping out these roaches here. They do have their spiky hair, so they will be able to burrow and then move while underground, and we'll probably see that used to great effect here. Taking out a pylon that was powering 4 of the gates. That is in no way a good thing for BlueTea. That is not going to be good at all. Losing the Nexus there at the main, probably going to lose all 4 of these gates. Where are the Protoss forces? They're slowly running through here. Had a bit of trouble because they had to compete with getting past that wall that was at the front. 2 of the gates go down, a 3rd goes down. The 2 Colossus that are out should be able to do a good job against these roaches, but unless they are not micro too well, but they're doing a good job. BlueTea doing a fantastic job of just keeping up with all of these roaches. However, the roaches aren't burrow. The Immortal is actually in the middle of the mix. They're doing a decent amount of damage here. Roaches being pumped away by those cannons on the Immortal. What have they got? Phase Disruptors. That's a badass name if I've ever heard one. And of course, as we saw here, there were some Zerglings around at the front as well, but I'm not actually sure where they are. But look at this. We've got 3 Colossus now off to the side. Whoa, watch the camera there. And they're going to be doing a good job against those roaches. They can burrow, get their health back, and then we'll probably want to send them back into the Nidus worm now that they can be spotted by that Overseer, and there they go. So decent job there by WetGoat to come inside and actually take out a lot of this main base here. Took out a bit of tech, took out the gates, which were also there, and that is really going to help with progressing along. What we didn't see here from WetGoat, though, was a bit of an expansion. Probably want to take at least this base, if not the gold expansion in the middle. Would have been a really good way to actually capitalize on that attack. Of course, the Protoss would not be able to do attack for the moment, but with a couple of these Colossus coming out, she will be in a fantastic position to attack. So we'll see if that is the plan here. A couple more gateways have gone down at the back of these this cannon wall at the 3rd base, and now some Zerglings have decided to come along. They're going to have a look-see and see if they can run up that ramp and take out some of these probes. If they can, that would be absolutely fantastic for WetGoat. And a few of them are going to get inside. The cannons don't really do too much damage there. The Zerglings are inside, taking out probes left and right. And as we can see here, there is really nothing to help defend this just for the moment here. They won't be able to take this Nexus down, but they certainly will be able to do a bit of damage there. Colossus walk inside. The Zerglings are going to try and escape. A couple of them losing their lives to those cannons in the end. But decent little harassment attack there by our Zerg player WetGoat. Now, still waiting for an expansion. There we are. We've taken the gold expansion here. Beautiful work there by WetGoat. Taking those is a great way, as we said, to sort of take advantage of the fact that you've put the Protoss on the back foot, making them sit in their base and sort of sort of get their tech up, get the tech back up again, and sort of get the sort of unit mixture that they want back up and running. Now, as we can see, still pumping out these Colossus, doing a fantastic job there is BlueTea. A forge is on the way, given that we lost the forge inside the main base. Haven't really got two decent upgrades just yet. We've only got +1 to weapons and armor, but certainly going to be enough to take out this expansion here. Destroys that one, doesn't even get to cancel it. So WetGoat not really watching that one there. Actually lost a few minerals, given that that was not cancelled. Meanwhile, BlueTea attacking again. It looks as if we've got another Nidus Worm here. Burrows inside. The roaches have come out of there, and they are going to come in and try and perhaps snipe off some of these pylons. Would be a good idea. But it doesn't look if they're going to get too far. The Colossus off to the side, come inside and start roasting up those roaches. However, one of the Colossus goes down. We do see on the health bars there that the Colossus are, 4 of them are actually still in decent health, but we've still got 2 is actually just a little bit lower than where they should be. But the roaches come along. Bad positioning here from BlueTea. Loses one of them. Loses a third, perhaps. Yes, there it is. The force fields finally go down. The roaches are stuck. They do have burrows, so they will be able to get underneath. But an observer is actually just sitting over the top. These roaches are probably going to die. I don't think they're going to get too far, given that there is an immortal and a whole heap of stalkers now punching away at those with their various laser beams that they love to have. And now that Nidus Worm will be next on the menu for those stalkers. So that goes down. Another decent attack. Not really, I wouldn't say there was too much to actually take out there, given that most of the base was actually destroyed in the first attack. But certainly another great attack. Just keeping the pressure on BlueTea, making sure that she's sort of just keeping on her toes and making sure that she's not getting too far ahead whilst WetGoat expands. Now, as we can see, the 4th base, this is actually starting to become a little bit of a problem here for WetGoat. He sort of still hasn't gotten that 4th base up. Meanwhile, whilst all this has been happening, I did say it's been some great harass, but there's still a 4th base here from BlueTea, which is going up nice and safe here with these 5 cannons, which are going to be blocking up that front part of the base. And as we can see here, this sort of death ball is getting a little bit out of control for WetGoat, given that WetGoat hasn't really been able to sort of capitalize on these bases, and only just now getting this 5th base up and running here. But this is probably not going to last too long. We've got 4 Colossus. They do have, as we said, +1 to, in fact, everything now. They've got +1 to shields here. So interesting little tech choice there from BlueTea. Colossus are going to be in a lot of trouble here. The Corruptors are in a great sort of number there. Beautiful little arc of force fields there. He's going to allow the Stalkers to pick off some of those Corruptors. The Corruptors, meanwhile, are going to do their own job picking off the Colossus. The Colossus falls to the ground, its legs all over the place. But nice little defense there from WetGoat. He's still in a sort of, as I mentioned, a little bit of a troubling position here. Have a look at the economy on that on the tab there. We'll in fact go to the tug of war. Look at that. We've actually got BlueTea almost double in terms of the economy on the minerals. They're actually sitting up there at around about 2,200 mineral income and around about 600 gas. So WetGoat doing WetGoat, we've sort of mixed up names there. We got BlueTea doing a fantastic job with the economy, and in fact perhaps even looking for a 5th base here underneath the watchful eyes of that Overlord. And have a look at those harvesters. We've actually got 80 probes, 81 probes in fact, to the 50 of WetGoat. So WetGoat is in a pretty terrible position at the moment here. Finally getting this economy going here at the 4th. Still waiting for the 5th to get up and running, and still waiting on some tech. I would presume that everyone would love to see some Broodlords, but there we go. We actually do have a greater Spire morphing in from that normal Spire, and we'll probably see some Broodlord switches soon. We do have a lot of Corruptors out here. There are a total of 10 Corruptors sitting there at the top of the map. Zergling's attempting to come in here. This 4th base has been taken, as we mentioned, and that is saturated beautifully there by BlueTea. A couple of gateways at the back are going to morph in, and do not be surprised if we see another Nexus go down here at the 5th base. Meanwhile, have a look at this massive death ball from BlueTea. This is a lot of Stalkers. We, in fact, have 37 Stalkers here. 3 Immortals are sitting in there in various positions of this death ball. A Colossus in the middle, as you can all see, and a few sentries inside the mix as well, which are going to provide the Guardian Shield, ever useful, along with some force fields when they need to be punched out as well. +2 to weapons is just about done here for BlueTea, and it looks like an attack is going to commence based on that being done, and we will see that another little attempted counter-attack is going on up here from WetGoat. He's going to try and come in here, hit some of these gateways, and perhaps head up the back and try and take out some of these probes. This really will hurt, but have a look down here. Another massive battle going on down at the southern position. The Corruptors have taken out the Colossus, but have a look now. They've got nothing to do at all. They may as well go home and have lunch or something like that. But the Roaches are doing a little bit too, not enough really, what they should be doing. They're going to have a bad arc here against these Stalkers, and the Stalkers are in a huge arc there. As we can see with the Immortals on the left-hand side, they're going to do a great amount of damage. These Stalkers do have blinks, so whilst there are a couple of Broodlords morphing in there, there are 4 Broodlords that will be popping out in just a second. They're going to be no match for all of these Stalkers here with their blink, along with their +2 to weapons, and along with those Immortals. This is probably going to be the death of WetGoat if WetGoat decides to not defend up. And now, as we can see, +1 to Flyer Carapace along with Ground Carapace level 3. Attacks level 3 are also on the way, so while those Broodlords will do a great amount of damage, they're not actually going to be too much trouble for BlueTea to deal with. Meanwhile, a DT, if the economic troubles weren't bad enough for WetGoat, DT has gotten inside, is taking out these drones on the gas. Do keep in mind you should always take out the workers on the gas if you have the time to sort of target them. Meanwhile, targeting the Queen down, this is going to be a dead Queen. There it is. The Overseer does come out, but not in time. Meanwhile, a couple of Roaches have come across, and another battle is going on down here at the 6 o'clock position. Another great little arc there from BlueTea. We do see that the Broodlords are sitting down at the bottom of this little battle here. There are a few of those just sort of throwing away those Broodlings. Meanwhile, there you go. There's a blink right on top of all these forces. A DT in the mix along with the Immortals at the back. Fantastic job here by BlueTea to just get inside there and just get right on top of the Zerg, taking out those Broodlords, and that is probably going to be it here. GG, well played from WetGoat, and a GG from BlueTea. So fantastic play from BlueTea. You can see why she is a Masters level Protoss on the NA server. As I said, make sure you check out her stream. She does some good streaming there. I believe it's on Team Liquid. And we'll go to some of the other MLG replays from the open bracket, which weren't casted. So stick around and we'll see some more of those. Cheers.